wondering why heaven and hell, either a casket or locked in a cell. Why is the world like this? They play us like instruments. Open your eyes, look what's in front of you. Do what you wanna do. Look, they feel what they don't understand. Popping these bands, off of these bands. Y'all niggas try making a band, I'm chilling while making the grand feet kicked up, making a plan. If you fail to plan, your plan will fail, nigga. Woke up in the morning, put my feet on the floor. Woke up in the morning, put my feet on the floor. Grab the loaf of bread, cause I need the dough. Grab the loaf of bread, cause I need the C-H-I-double-L-Will-the-D-O-N is what they call me. Hey, ain't you worried about your competition? Nah, B, not even hardly. They barely started. Just picture MJ in the last dance. GP can't even guard me. I'ma tell you what the problem is. The niggas grow out strong and they minds the kids the same fear, self-hate. Get it, chick, knock her up, leave her nigga not great. See, I prefer punching while pinning. That's a multi-race. I smoke, drink, and play games. Now that's my multi-vice. Woke up in the morning, put my feet on the floor. Woke up in the morning, put my feet on the floor. Grab the loaf of bread, cause I need the dough. Grab the loaf of bread, cause I need the look what you done stepped in. I'm a teacher, learn your lesson. I got class, so I ain't stressing. Music is my best friend. In this booth, I feel protection. In the hood, I'm a local legend. She a headache, I'm Excedrin. This a cooking class with your looking ass. This a cooking class with your looking ass. Cookie crumbles on some broken glass. You glutton for punishment. I ain't preaching, y'all niggas on other shit. If the trap hot, bring oven mitts, bitch.
Oh shit. Like, I don't know. I'm not sleepy, but I don't know. Got some YouTube videos to look at, as well as a little bit of Grand Theft Auto 3, just to playing as usual. Oh, I'm in my own stream. I was like, why am I hearing myself? Okay. There we go. Got rid of the problem. But yeah, let's look at some YouTube. Let's see what we can find to watch. Nice thing about these streams is I don't gotta have much energy. I can be chill. I don't have to turn up all the time. Huh. I know you can't hear it. Give me a second.
5 popular sandwiches from the US, Canada, and Mexico. Only one.
Alright, so I don't need to. I'll just restart it. It's 18 seconds.
We're on a mission to find out which part of the world makes the best sandwich. Now, we've already taken a look at both Eastern and Western Europe. Now, we're going to scoot over to the Americas, starting first with with North America. So in this video, we're gonna make 5 popular
Chat.
sandwiches from the US, Canada,
Chat.
and
We've had this discussion, I think, or I've had this discussion with someone not of the US. And I was told that there's 7 continents, and they argued with me that there's 6. I counted North America and South America as different ones, but apparently North and South are one. So like America's just America.
Mexico. Only one of these sandwiches will take the crown and get to represent North America in the Global Sandwich Showdown, aka the Sandwich Olympics. Stick around till the end of the video because regardless of who wins, we're gonna take the best components from each of these sandwiches to fuse together the ultimate North American Frankenstein.
Don't do that.
The Italian
Just
sub,
kidding.
or
Do
the
it.
hoagie, or the grinder, or the hero. A lot of ways to say it, but you get it. It's said to have been invented sometime in the 1900s by an Italian-American immigrant, go figure, when he would make these sandwiches and sell them to dock workers in Portland, Maine. The sandwich kind of caught fire, then meanwhile over in Philly, they started calling their sandwiches Hog Island sandwiches, which eventually somehow transformed to hoagie. New Yorkers call it the hero because I guess you gotta be a hero to finish it. Then at some point, a sandwich owner over in Connecticut started calling them submarines, or subs for short, which was likely inspired by the Navy shipyard nearby. Now,
Okay.
what do you call this thing? That's for you to decide. Regardless, it's a really good sandwich.
What's up,
It uses
Joe?
a bunch of delicious Italian cold cuts, some good cheese.
What were
It's
you
very
taught?
important that we
Was
dress
North
it
America and
properly.
South
We're gonna
America
talk
2
all about
separate
that.
continents, or
All right, the Italian
were they
sub.
one? What was
The
you
thing about
taught?
The Italian sub is you don't have to cook anything, right? You're basically just building a sandwich. So I wanted to talk about the ingredients going on here. On the tray, we got our provolone cheese, Genoa salami, the hot capicola, aka the gabagool,
The
mortadella,
Gaba
which is basically fancy Italian
fucking
bologna.
goo. I'm gonna
Italians don't
Jamaican
sue.
Airlines.
Then we just got our fresh vegetables, some banana peppers, shreddis, aka God's best green tomato. And then when I was talking about dressing the sandwich, this is what I mean. You need to have your vinegar, almost forgot, the olive oil, and some oregano. To me, these 3 things right here kind of like make an Italian sub taste like an Italian sub. So when I was in New Jersey to kind of taste an authentic sandwich, right? I saw this stuff here.
Oh, okay,
This is
okay,
just a
okay.
cherry pepper
So it
spread
is
called
one
hoagie
continent,
spread.
all connected. It's just called North and
it's a
South
tangy,
because it's
slightly
so big.
sweet condiment that you spread on the bread
So is
before you go to the
Dakota
top. Very good, optional, but
just
if you can get
Dakota?
this stuff, which they do sell online, definitely use it.
and there's a
Awesome.
North and
That's
South?
pretty much it. Let's build this thing. We have some wonderful crusty Italian bread that I got from an Italian bakery nearby. We're gonna go on with the hoagie spread. We're gonna start with the Genoa salami. We're gonna go on both sides of that. Now the hot capicola, or the gabagool. Never get bored of saying that. Followed by our XL slabs
God
of
damn.
mortadella, the provolone cheese. Then we're gonna hit it with the shreddis down the middle.
I
And
hate
this is where we're
shredded
gonna dress
lettuce.
our sandwich with the olive oil, red wine vinegar for that zing and that twang.
Jersey Mike's
a
way.
pinch of dried oregano, black pep,
Oh yeah, the
some banana
Gaba
peppers, and the tomate. Don't forget to season that tomate. Nice and tight. And you can see that right there, that Italian window of all that moisture, the oil, and the vinegar. Ooh!
Yep.
That coil. I love when the meat wraps around the bread like that, and you can see that hoagie spread sort of in
Fuck me up.
there. Crunchy veg right in the middle.
No.
Mexico's bold answer to the sandwich is the torta. Long story short, Mexico
Okay.
has been occupied by a few different European nations over its years. First, in the 16th century, the Spanish conquistadors came over and introduced
I love a good
Before the
torta.
Spanish arrived, Mexico's staple carbs were corn tortillas and tamales, or anything made with corn. But with the introduction of wheat, they started making flour tortillas. Then, a little later on, the bread-obsessed French came to take over. They were only there for a short
We're gonna have a
period,
cage
sometime
match
in the
ourselves.
1800s, but their
Like-
legacy of bread is
So we got the Italian sub versus the torta. And then we're gonna go on to the next one, which I'm not gonna spoil it because I have no idea. But so far, if you had to pick one between the torta and the Italian sub,
still there today. Over time, Mexico developed a style of bread and sandwiches using Mexican ingredients which are uniquely their own. Now, torta
I might have to go with the sub,
obviously a
to be
million other
honest.
kinds of Mexican tortas. So I asked my buddy, friend of the channel, Chef Jonathan Zaragoza, which ones he likes the most. He gave me a whole list, so I just kind of chose one. So that's the one we're gonna make today.
The al pastor torta.
Boom. We are making a cochinita torta. This is essentially just a nice big hunk of piggy cooked in these banana leaves here, which helps steam it off. And it's got this beautiful color, and this comes from achiote, which are annatto seeds. All this fat, this rendered fat, so soft. I mean, just look at that, you can break right through it. Woo! And we're just gonna shred this up. Big ol' hunk, that bone will just come right out. It should just fall apart on you, I mean. This thing was braised for like 4 hours in the banana leaf, marinated for a day, 2 days.
Yeah.
Fatty, unctuous, meaty pork butt in this fabulous marinade. This torta comes from the Yucatan Peninsula. It's that southern kind of like tip of Mexico.
Oh, that
down
sound
there.
works.
Very
Okay,
tropical.
cool.
Hence the banana leaves, the annatto seed and all that. So this is one of the many types of Mexican breads called talera. I went to my Mexican grocery store and picked some of these up the other day. So the sandwich we're making today doesn't actually call for this style of bread. Like I said, in Mexico, there are lots of different styles of bread. Jonathan told me that in the Yucatan, where this sandwich comes from, they use a bread called barra yucateca, which is almost like a Mexican style French baguette type thing. This is not that. These are soft and wonderful, and a lot of other tortas are built on these. I got these, they're fresh. They
Get
smell
your
very
nose
nice,
off
so we're
of
gonna
it.
use this today. But just understand that this sandwich is classically made on a different style of bread. But you can make a sandwich on whatever bread you want, right? The cochinita torta. We're gonna mayo down both sides. Hopefully this fat acts as like a moisture wicker awayer, help kind of keep this bread not soppy from the cochinita. Second layer is black beans here. You might
What
see
the
pinto beans in
fuck?
the north, in the south. I guess you see more black beans according to Jonathan. Pretty interesting. I do love a black bean. On with our juicy cochinita. We have our pickled jalapenos to help kind of cut through some of that fat. Then we got some nice big rustic chunks of avocado, kind of similar in shape to those jalapenos. And the cherry on top, or the onions on top, just some lovely
Nah,
red onion.
I gotta go with the
Again, that's
sub.
gonna help cut through that pork. Then we're gonna plop that lid on. Boom, the cochinita torta. Look at that beauty.
Torta's good, but I don't know what's
Philly
up.
cheesesteak.
What the- oh
the meaty,
shit.
greasy icon that we all know and love here in the States.
Okay, we got the Italian sub versus the fucking cheese. Oh god.
Legend has it,
Oh,
a dude
God.
named Pat Oliveri owned a hot dog cart and wanted to
Oh,
make lunch
God.
for his boys one day, so he went across the street, got a bunch of meat
I don't know.
scraps, threw it on the grill with some onions, put it in a sandwich, and before you know it, the Philly cheesesteak was born. That dude would go on to open Pat's King of Steaks, then later on, Gino's would open up next door, sort of creating that feud that many Philly residents and people who know the sandwich well kind of know. You know, Gino's versus Pat's.
And
We
it's
won't get into
neither.
that beef. We're gonna stick to the tasty beef today. The
It's
sandwich is
neither.
simple. It's got beef. You can choose what kind of cheese you want on it, and you can order it with or without, meaning with onions or without. It's pretty esoteric, but the sandwich is really, really great, and it's pretty simple to make. Philly cheesesteak needs a little oil on the
I might have to
plancha.
go with the
Get some
cheesesteak.
Onions, because we going wit today. Wit onions. Pinch of kosher. Let these cook out for a second here. We're gonna go in with our thinly sliced ribeye. Pinch more kosher. Then we just toss this around a little bit. Give it a chopski. So now we're gonna shape this beef onion mixture into a little tube, about the same size as our bread. Just try to eyeball it to whatever bread you're using. We're gonna hit it with the provolone right on top. It is a Philly cheese steak after all, it's gotta be cheesy. Then we gonna steam it off by putting a bowl on top. Let it cook for a couple minutes. Cheese will melt, beef will go all nice and crispy. It's a good time. We're gonna remove that lid, it's very hot, be careful. Look at that. Soft, sesame studded Italian roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the
directly on
cheesesteak.
top. Boom. This is inspired by a spot called Angelo's that I went to when I was in Philly that, in my experience, was much better than Gino's. Shots fired, I know, but lucky for me, I
Told
asked
you
you
it was
guys
neither.
where to go on my Instagram story. You guys told me Angelo's, and it was like one of the best sandwiches I've ever had. So this is, you know, at least with the roll, and is inspired by Angelo's. Tis a slopper. Cheesy goo bomb. At its core, the sandwich is so simple, but this is just one of those things that proves simplicity is sometimes the move.
Or chopped cheese is good
Canada's
too.
or Montreal's smoked meat
Oh.
sandwich. It's basically the Canadian answer to a pastrami sandwich. The sandwich started because Jewish immigrants came over to Montreal, brought with them their pastrami, then they started making smoked meat, and people just fell in love with the sandwich. I mean, what's not to love? This was all sometime in the 1800s, but then sometime in the 1920s, Schwartz's Deli opened, which is probably the most famous place to go get a smoked meat sandwich. Schwartz's Deli is probably comparable to Katz's Deli here in the States in New York because it's the most popular. A lot of places do the sandwich well though, I hear. So you got some rye bread and then piled high with the smoked meat, some mustard. It's simple, it's Jewish deli food at its finest. Now pastrami and smoked meat are similar but slightly different, so we'll get into it. Le smoked meat. All
The
right,
fuck?
steamy and warm. So this is smoked meat. Obviously, I didn't make this. I didn't slice this. I ordered this from a Montrealer deli in New York City. They smoked the meat, they cured it, they did all the stuff. I just overnighted this, so shout out to those guys. Mile End Deli in New York. Let's go. It's my understanding that the difference between smoked meat and pastrami is that pastrami is wet brined where smoked meat is dry brined. That's how it gets its pink color. Additionally, OG pastrami is actually made with beef navel, aka beef belly. Nowadays it's made with brisket too, but smoked meat was always made with brisket. Probably more similar than different, but we're gonna taste it and see kind of like what the difference is and if it's better or worse. First we gotta build. All right, Montreal smoked meat starts on rye bread. I love when you can see the caraway seeds in the rye. We're gonna take some grain deli mustard, plop that on both sides because I'm a simp for mustard. Edge to edge. Gotta have mustard on your buff. Now our smoked meat. High
shit.
and proud.
But
These
heck
things
yeah.
can get pretty hilariously massive. Top lid on. Montreal smoked meat sandwich. All right, cut this thing in half. So soft. Look at those perfect slices. I like that.
That was good.
The Cubano.
Still go with
Florida's
Philly.
Cheesy, piggy gifted
Damn, I
world.
think.
It was born when
Yeah,
Cuban immigrants migrated to Florida, specifically in Miami and Tampa, and brought with them their flavors and essentially took Cuban stuff and put it into a very easy to eat and convenient sandwich. Think layers of citrusy mojo pork, little ham slivers, cheese, mustard, pickles. Oh, and a very special bread. So there are two different kinds of versions of the sandwich, one from Tampa and one from Miami, and there's sort of like a fierce rivalry there. The only difference is that the Tampa version adds salami to their sandwich. So I mean, it's not that different. I go into this a little deeper in my other video that I did with Southern sandwiches, so if you're interested, you can check that out. If you've seen the movie Chef, there's no doubt you already know what a Cubano is. It kind of brought the sandwich back into the zeitgeist, but it's been being made since the 1800s. Let's make it. All right, Cubano takes two types of pork. One of them is roasted pork. This is a mojo pork, yet another pork hunk going into our sandwich. It's a citrus marinade with garlic, a bunch of other stuff too, herbs, and it's really nice. Look how rendered that fat is right there. Can I windshield wipe it off? Yep, that's about right. So that delicious citrusy fat is going to melt right into the remaining pork, which you should be able to shred by hand. Next thing for the Cuban sandwich is the Cuban bread, the important. It's basically a very simple white bread that's made with lard. So it's kind of got an interesting texture to it. You bake it kind of on the lighter side so it comes out light, then when you toast it, it gets a little darker, it's perfect. I'm just gonna kind of trim, what's it called when twins are connected to each other? Yeah, we're just gonna call that the umbilical cord. Cut off the ends here to make it look very Cubano-y. Wonderful. It's so soft, this bread. Directly in half. Look at that crumb. White, pillowy, perfect for mushing.
Not bad though.
And panini-atizing. Cuban bread. We're gonna do a smear of yellow mustard on both sides.
So one uses
Very important
pastrami though?
to the
That's
Cubano
different.
Mustard, the yellow regular Americano mustard. We're gonna go on with our ham. We got two kinds of porks here. This is just very thinly sliced deli ham. For our second piggy variety, we got that citrusy, braisy mojo pork. Then we're gonna go on with our sliced pickles.
Hang on. There's two different.
Ham.
Okay,
Two kinds
that's
of
the
pork
one
here.
I'm
This
used
is
to.
just very thinly sliced deli ham. For our second piggy variety, we got that citrusy, braisy mojo pork. Then we're gonna go on with our sliced pickles.
Holy shit, I don't like pickles.
And our Swiss cheese. I'm doubling up on the cheese. Then we're gonna close it up, press it down. Now I'm gonna take some tempered butter here and hit the top. Help to make sure it gets a nice even toast. We're just gonna melt in some butter. Then we shall lay in our Bono. Now we're gonna place on a piece of parchment. I'm gonna take a nice heavy cast iron and just kind of line that up. We're just gonna toast that off, make sure it gets nice and smashy. Give this a flipperonis. Parchment goes on, and we smash again. Make sure it doesn't take on too toasty of a color here. That looks toasty to me. See what I mean about that bread? If that was any more caramelized before we hit on the plancha here, it would just be straight black. Woo. Yeah.
Looks good.
Cubano.
That's pretty good. Still gotta go with the Philly.
All the sandwiches are built. There's only one thing left to do. It's TTT. Time to taste.
That's the 3, huh? 4? 3. You showed us 3 sandwiches. 4.
All right, which one should I go for first?
Oh shit, 5?
We'll go down this way, starting with the Cubano.
We saw.
Look at that glorious thing right there.
What's going on? The torta, Philly,
I love the variety of pork in the Cubano.
Italian.
That roasty, citrusy mojo with that kind of more
Holy
classic,
shit.
thinly sliced ham. The pickles and the mustard just kind of wake it all up, and it's on that soft bread that's like flattened to a perfect crisp. It's a little warm. I like it. It's good stuff. Cubano, classic. Moving down the line, we have our smoked meat sando here. A deli classic. Piled high, piled proud, mustard, rye.
mustard, and rye. I forgot about that one. I still think the Philly one's it all though.
That I've had in the past, honestly. I'm not just saying that for the video. It's like it actually does have like this pronounced smoke flavor. The name smoked meat sandwich, of course. I'm talking about in comparison to pastrami, it's a lot smokier. But all in all, very similar with the bread. That caraway rye taste and everything. Classic deli sandwich with a little bit of a smoky twang. All right, the Italiano, the Italian sub. There are a lot of different ways to eat an Italian sub, right? You can order it in many different versions. This is what I believe to be one of the more classic ones, just with the gabagool, all those cold cuts of provolone. I forgot to add onions on this. Shame on me. I'm a bad guy. Usually there would be onions, but it's still gonna be delicious, so cheese. To me, this is damn near a perfect sandwich. It's acidic, it's umami, there's cheese in it, you get the crunch from the vegetables. It's just laden with all those different delicious Italian cold cuts. The bread is crusty and delicious. That sweet tang from the hoagie spread. Of course, all that dressing on the inside.
What the fuck is umami?
It's an extremely balanced sandwich and just makes a lot of sense. And
I thought that was a type of bean. What is umami?
Sandwich, I think about this
Or
Italian sub.
sweet potato.
Philly cheese steak, John. Oh man, this has got to be one of the best hot sandwiches money can buy. I'm gonna take it out of its tinfoil prison. All right, nope. All right, yep. Look at that. You got the sesame seed loaf, the gooey beef with the cheese in there. You can usually see the cheese a little better when it's yellow. You can order this with Cheese Whiz or American, which I also really love. Wanted to keep it classic today. Not that those aren't classic, but you get it. Provolone, beef, cheese.
No, the provolone isn't really classic from what I know.
I understand why the world's obsessed with this sandwich. Okay, to be honest, very intimidated by this one. Not sure how I'm gonna eat it. Oh, that's what I was scared of. All right, we got it. We did it. We're fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Oh yeah. That's nice. That Talera bread, nice and soft. It's confusing because everything in there is so soft. So I feel like if you were to use the classic, like more Mexican baguette style bread, you'd bite into it and it would slide out even more than it would with this Talera bread. The onions are awesome. I just love those ingredients that cut through all that kind of like more super rich meat. In this case, the cochinita. The avocados are welcome. Guests to the partay as well. I love the jalapeno in there. Kind of like a Mexican pulled pork, like I said. All of these sandwiches are really, really strong in their own way. I would want them at different times for different reasons, but we gotta rank them, so I'm starting with 5th place here. In 5th place, it's gotta be the smoked meat sandwich. Here's the thing, hold on. When you want a pastrami or a smoked meat or just a deli sandwich in general, there's nothing else that can kind of itch that craving. When I want a pastrami sandwich piled high and proud with a latke and all the other good stuff, I need to go to a Jewish deli. I pretty much need it like immediately. But right now on the board with all the other bites I took, I'm just sort of the most unexcited about this one. However, a sandwich doesn't have to be exciting all the time to be great. Keep that in mind. But 5th place, smoked meat. In 4th place, it's gonna have to be the torta. Here's the thing. Tortas come in all shapes and sizes and flavors. This is only one of them. Did you hear that? The thing about this is that everything was just a little too soft for me. When you bite it, it kind of slid out of the sides. And even when you do, there's not too much textural variation, which I really appreciate. Yeah, it's a little crunchy from the jalapenos, but it's really soft. But if you love pulled pork sandwiches, you're gonna love this. I mean, I really like this. I'm probably gonna eat it later for dinner. But 4th place, cochinita torta. We're entering the podium. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place.
Why lie to us?
The silver, the bronze. Starting with the bronze. In 3rd
Why lie to
place,
us?
the Philly cheesesteak. Okay. Philly cheesesteak is just so damn good. If
Wow.
you get a good one, it's borderline transcendent. If you take a bite of this thing, you're gonna feel good
Came in
about
3rd.
yourself. Maybe not after, but during. It's gonna be a good time. I love a Philly cheesesteak, but today, for what's on the board, I enjoyed this 3rd best. The bronze Philly cheesesteak. All right, the silver. Tough decision, I will say.
Uh-oh.
The Cubano. This is probably one of my top 5 sandwiches on the planet, but on this strong North American board, it's gonna come in 2nd. Now, this thing is amazing because it's got those 2 pork types that we were talking about, the citrusy mojo, the regular ham, the melty Swiss on there, and it's so satisfying. It's the perfect thickness, and it's a little crunchy and crispy. Really good sandwich, but in 2nd place, the Cubano. Which means, in 1st place, your North American champion, the Italian sub, the Italian sandwich, the hero, the hoagie, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna try not to repeat myself, but of course it's inevitable. When I think of a sandwich, it's this guy. It's refreshing, it's meaty, it's satisfying. When you eat it, you don't feel kind of like done afterwards, like you can still go do things with your life. Not gonna say, you know, the same thing about the Philly cheesesteak. This to me is the quintessential American sandwich, even though it's the Italian sandwich. Call it an Italian-American sandwich. That's what we got today. So in 1st place, the Italian sub. Give it up for
With
your
the
boy,
fucking gabagool,
sandwich.
bitch. That wasn't fair. Philly should have won. The fuck?
Tucked away in the birthplace of America, there's a pizza shop that's run by one man. Somehow, he's able to produce 150
Alton
pizzas
Brown?
a night alone. On top of that, he sells out almost every week. People come from all over the state, and oftentimes, they'll order their pie days ahead just to make sure they can get one. So, how is this even possible? Why does he do it alone? And can the pizza really be that good? We're about to find out. So I'm in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and I am freezing, but I'm heading to Edge Pizza to meet up with Chef Aaron to find out why one person would sacrifice so much time and effort just to make a pizza.
I thought it was Alvin Brown. I'm like, what the fuck?
Meet Aaron, the culinary genius who's making some of the most hype pies in New England. He's here 5 days a week and has become somewhat of a local celebrity. I asked him how he manages time, and his answer was shocking. You actually have a full-time job, right?
Yeah, work as a physical and occupational therapist. So I'm fixing hips and knees and shoulders and stuff all day, and then coming here and
then feeding people at night.
feeding people at night.
So I'm not sure when he actually has time to sleep, but I do know that these pies look amazing. And he sets himself apart from other locals in the area by specializing in Detroit-style pizza, which has a signature square shape, and when the pie's put together, it's layered cheese, toppings, then sauce, which is different than how most pies are assembled. So why Detroit-style pizza? I mean, we're in New England. You grew up in New England, right?
That's right. My family is Sicilian.
Okay.
And they came over from Palermo. Sicilian was a natural progression for me.
I
to
do like
make
Detroit
something
style.
big.
We have a Jets
when
pizza.
the Sicilians came here at the turn of the century
Which is,
to work in
Detroit
the factories and the auto
deep dish.
industry, they would work on the factory line and they would use these pans for like extra parts and nuts and bolts. They'd take these pans home and they would cook their Sicilian pizza in it. So their cheese just ended up kind of caramelizing around the edge and creating that laced edge.
Which to me is the best part of its short pizza. I love that like crispy lace at the end.
So good.
With all this hype around the pizza, I wanted to see what goes into actually making it. First, it starts with the dough.
So that's our dough that's going into the pans. So I just make sure it gets into the pan because when it sits overnight, it's going to puff and spread out and it's going to flatten.
Okay, cool. So you just want it to kind of be even across?
Correct.
What's in the dough?
Flour, water, salt, yeast.
That's it, just keep it simple?
Yep, 4 ingredients.
So how long did it take you to figure out the dough ratio and how long to let it sit?
I started out with 40 doughs in my first day. All right, I'm going to do 40, see how it goes, see if anybody will buy any. We sold out in a half an hour.
Dang.
Like there was a line out the door.
That's insane.
I'm like, oh, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
yeah.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
And then they get a cover.
Cool.
And then they get to hibernate overnight.
Normally when you see a thick pizza like this, you expect it to sit really heavy and be really dense. Detroit-style pizza is the opposite. It looks the same as those other types of pies, but it's actually super light and airy.
In order to get the air bubbles and for it to be soft and airy like that, the hydration level has to be a little higher. So when the yeast formation happens, it creates these bubbles.
Okay.
And in order for the bubbles to really stretch and get bigger, you gotta have a wetter dough.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's really just more water, not anything else.
Yeah. Once they're all proof the next day, I'll take these and bring them over, and I'll par bake them for 4 minutes each. And it'll go right into, somebody orders a pizza, it's a dub pep, throw it in, cheese it, top it. So it's a 3-day process.
So not only is the crust unique for this pie, but the cheese blend is also something of its own compared to other pizza styles.
So it's a whole milk mozzarella and a Vermont white cheddar. It has the flavor of the cheddar, which is that little bit of salty, funky cheddar. And then the mozzarella gives it the cheese texture and pull. But the cheddar is what creates the laced edge.
Gotcha.
So when you make like cheddar chips or Parmesan chips in your toaster oven or your oven at home for the crispy chips, that's basically what's happening at the edge of the pan or on the blue steel.
One thing that can really make or break a pizza for me is the sauce. I feel like it holds everything together. I was really excited to find out what went into this one, and I was shocked when he told me.
All right, I'll tell you the secret. It's just crushed tomatoes.
Nothing
I don't
else?
cook it. I don't put any seasoning, no salt, no pepper. It's
Just tomatoes?
Really good tomatoes, but I don't do anything to it. So my great-grandfather and my grandmother told me that the least amount you do to something will make it the best thing.
Like, do you cook it for a long time, like on a low heat, or is it just good?
I only bring it up to 165 and then I lower it down to warm. So
Can we see the cans you use?
yeah,
Okay, big bags. So this is the move right here, Old California.
well, California, it's probably the best tomato sauce. If I were to cook it, it would get too sweet. I want the acid to hit the top of the palate first and the bottom to hit that buttery, crunchy crust underneath.
Every pie that came out of the oven looked picture perfect, and it's obvious that the ingredients are super high quality. But I was wondering, how are the pies coming out so consistent without any stick or loss of lacing around the edges? Aaron told me the pan is the last ingredient that goes into a good Detroit pie.
The pan does it all. It's not, you saw how
That's
easy
true.
that came
Like a
out.
cast
Yeah.
iron
You just
skillet,
let the,
you know?
the oils kind of build up and season the pans.
Kind of like a cast iron skillet.
Yeah, the more you use it, the better it gets.
Watching Chef Aaron in his process, it hit me. He never had had any traditional culinary training. How did this sports medicine therapist go from zero experience to making some of the most sought after pies in New England?
About 12 years ago, I had gastric bypass surgery. I was 365 pounds. When I lost 160 pounds of that, I started cooking because everything I needed to cook, it had to be perfect because I could only eat a little.
Right, yeah,
So I started perfecting every single recipe that I did. And I just got really good at cooking.
When did you open?
So opened in the middle of the pandemic. Yeah, a lot of places were closing left and right. And I said, maybe this is the opportunity where I can make something successful by customizing it to the restraints of COVID. So take out online ordering, minimal seating, low staff. That was what was being required to operate a restaurant. If you had a big restaurant with servers and no one could go in and sit, like they all folded.
So you started it 3 years ago, but you already had a regular job. What was the process like when you actually got it going?
So when I decided to open my own restaurant, I invested in pans, 40 pans, and a Subway bread oven. And that's what I cooked in for a year before I scaled up to a bakery oven like this. I was doing 12, I could only do 12 pizzas at a time. So I was able to customize my point of sale. So when people are ordering, it made it so people couldn't order a whole bunch in one period of time. If they tried to order all at 4:30, the next 12 pizzas would be bumped to the next time frame. So every 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I was never overwhelmed because I was never making more than 12 at a time in that oven. And the place that I was able to use, a friend of mine gave me an opportunity in a small building on the side of his restaurant, a place called Off the Grid in Sandwich, formerly a homing pigeon coop. It was maybe 200 square feet, my little Subway oven, and 200 square feet in a former pigeon coop.
So you took it over and made some pizza.
Yeah, I had to
Love it.
duck going into it, like duck into the doorway. And once I'm in, there's like a little window that people picked up their pizzas at.
Was it hot in there? I mean,
extremely hot.
I can imagine you were baking.
No AC.
Ooh, with the humidity here in the summertime too. That
middle
must
of
have
July.
been bad. How
I
does it
wonder what he
feel
does.
To be like, I literally started my business in a
Because
pigeon
12,
coop.
he said
and
12 at
now
a
I'm
time.
here and you've got customers coming in regularly. Like, what's that like?
Well, when I think about it that way, it's pretty awesome. One of the main reasons I love cooking is when people like what I've cooked.
Yeah.
Or when they say, that's the best thing I've ever had.
And there were a lot of people throughout the day that said exactly that. It's the best pizza they've ever had. I had the pleasure of chatting with this guy named Paul. He's a regular, and he explained to me what this pizza means to him.
Not sure which one that one is.
All my cousins would sit there and eat it, and then as a topper, she'd roll out the the fried dough with the sugar on it.
Oh my God.
My God, it was like dying and going to heaven. So when I first had this, I said it brought me back 50 years. And when you told the story about the Italian woman that from Italy that didn't say a word until the end of the conversation. And she came up and she said, this is the best I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's amazing that every week, Paul can relive those memories of his grandmother's cooking through the shop. He had great things to say about the food, but he also had great things to say about Aaron as a person.
Tell you what type of guy this
I mean, sure, but like to say to your grandma's cooking, motherfucker, it's a pizza.
store here because of the parade. We had ordered the pizza before.
I bet you your grandma would be pissed. Like, I know you did not compare my motherfucking cooking to a goddamn pizza.
So I went up there, I stood on the corner for 5 minutes, he found me, he gave me the pizza on the corner.
After Paul left, I was thinking about how amazing it is that Aaron has so much support in the community. But I was wondering, why has he just kept it to himself? If this pizza's so good, why not expand? You had one location, and now you have this location and not the other one, right?
Right. So just one. I tried doing two and thought maybe expanding would be a cool way to make some money.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
Really?
Yeah. When I'm doing it by myself. If I had someone who was me, who I knew did things the way I do them,
Yeah.
that would have been fine. And I would say, you're in charge of that one, I'm in charge of this one.
Well, I guess you're not looking for other people to work with you, but like, have you had people that are like, hey, you should franchise this, or?
Constantly.
Really?
A large number of people who have said, I'd love to open one of these edges where I live. Would you ever be open to that?
And you're not doing it?
I'd say, You can, I just don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah, I think that's great. How come, what's your reasoning behind that? You know, you just want to have control, or?
It's the protection of the brand. Like
I
if I had
respect that.
someone and they're on the other side of the country and I don't know what they're doing, they can make my restaurant look bad
Right.
if they do it wrong.
I love that you care so much about your brand. Like, how do
Yeah,
how
it
do you
is
set
like the
your mind there
McDonald's
versus,
brothers.
you know, other people
Unfortunately,
that are
they
just like money and that's it.
they
Every pizza that I
what's
put
Danny
out,
Green
like the way
say?
I
We are
cook,
who they thought
making
they
sure
were.
that every piece that you eat is perfect. Are they
Or
going to
they
open
are
this
who we
box
thought they
and
were.
take a picture of it? And once they're done eating it, are they going to open their phones and review it? And that's what I go for, is like that reputation. Around here, everything's word of mouth, everything's reputation. That's how it's built. You're welcome, dear. Thank you so much. And a Coke. There are people that live on this street, this main street, that walk by and go, I didn't even know you were here. Do you walk with your eyes closed?
That's so funny.
So, it baffles me sometimes.
Yeah.
There are other people who come from Rhode Island. There's a guy who comes every week from Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
Just to get pizza here. 'Cause he
That's
can't
not a
find
short
any pizza
drive.
out there.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my Sunday activity. I come down, I get a pizza, I go sit by the water, and I go home.
I'm sure you get to know your customers a little bit too if it's just you all the time, right?
Yeah, and when people come in, I know their name, I know what they're there for. I've made their pizza for them, and they just walk right in and I hand it to them. Hey, Russell, it's all ready for you, buddy.
Yeah, wow. It's been like nonstop since we walked in here. We got here the second they opened and people are just in and out, in and out. Aaron's certainly done a good job building his brand and reputation. And he's also done a great job building a system that helps him get these pizzas out with consistent quality. I watched him make pies all day, but is this something that I could do? I wanted to try.
We'll put in a blank.
Alrighty.
This is our cheese
Ah,
bin.
something's in my
with all our
eye.
toppings. So cheese first.
So how much do you weigh it? Do you just kind of know how much you should put on there?
I usually do about this much.
Okay.
I make sure that, like, see, I didn't get enough.
Yep.
So I can always go back for more. The key is to getting it close to the edges first. And once you have that in place, then you can kind of just fill in the middle.
Start off, I might have done too much.
You actually have just the right amount.
You think there's a little bit more here?
Yeah, you could probably do another little squirt.
All right. Look at that, first shot, almost nailed it. All right, how much
God damn.
pepperoni would you normally put on?
I usually put a handful.
Put them in an order or anything, or you just throw them on?
If I try to make it too perfect, it comes out looking perfect and it looks like somebody else's. So I like it to be nice
little-
and rustic and artistic.
So you go in with the toppings, huh?
Yeah, I always think of this as the equivalent of a large pizza.
What's your favorite pie?
Ooh.
My favorite one right now is
Much
the Mark
better.
Truffalo. It's got like a garlic cream base, ton of mushrooms. I finish it with ricotta, herbs, and a drizzle of truffle oil.
So what kind of mushrooms are you using?
I just use white button mushrooms. This is our garlic cream sauce. It's like an Alfredo.
All right, let's, so they
Pop
both
it
go
right
in the
in.
oven over here.
So we cook at 500.
Can you
with
fit
the-
3 or should I
Yeah,
go up?
three's good.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it.
Since the pizza was in the oven, we started chatting about his building and how it was built in the 1700s, only to find out the story of what this place used to be is even more crazy than when he opened the pizza shop originally in a pigeon coop. It's an old one, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the originals.
1726 it was built.
1726?
300 years old. It was an area where they
Oh, I
planned
thought I
the
was
American
okay.
Revolution.
In this
I don't know
building?
what happened there.
Oh, that's really
Sons of Liberty were here. Sam Adams,
That's
John
so cool.
Hancock. They met right back there. This was the home of Mercy Otis Warren, and she used to write letters to John and Abigail Adams when he was in the presidency. She
Oh, buddy can
basically
double up and
inspired
do
him
tours too
to
in his home.
form the
Crazy.
American
Or his
Revolution
Really?
pizza shop.
from all of that. So
right out of this little area.
these timbers are original to the building.
Wow, that's
300-year-old.
So after our quick visit to the past, our pizzas were finally done, and damn, did they look good. You cut first and then sauce?
Cut first.
Okay.
So I do it in thirds. So there's this line,
And then right up the middle.
and then in the middle.
Cool.
Great.
It was time for me to box mine up and finish the job. Dude, not bad. Not bad. After staring at the food all day, it's finally time to eat. Let's open up the pies. Man, these smell so good.
I think that's the one with the honey.
This one's yours for sure. This one's mine. Yours definitely looks like there's more stuff on it. I don't know if I put enough pepperoni on mine, but hey, you know, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, and that extra maybe minute or so in the oven made a nice darker edge too.
All right, I'm gonna dive into the slice that I made because I want to see if it's like any good. I mean, it has to probably be good because you guided me through the entire thing. It's not like
It has an
but
upside down
the
Nike.
cool
Look
thing
like
is, I don't know
Newport.
if you can see it on camera, but you can actually see the air pockets in the dough. All right, let's go. Damn, is that good? You're right, that sauce tastes like you had been working on that for days. I mean, you've been heating it up, obviously, but
Did you get a piece of the edge yet?
I'm saving it. So this is the lacing that we were talking about. Well, it's interesting because it's not like super greasy like a lot of other pies can be. Like it doesn't sit heavy after you eat it.
Right.
I feel like a lot of pizza can.
You see what I mean about the sauce being acidic, but a little sweet, fresh tomato.
Do you think that like you keeping it to yourself, like is there a reason that the quality stays the same?
Yeah, I mean, it has to go out perfect. And I'm usually the one that hands it to somebody. If I open the box and it's not right, I ask them to wait a few minutes and make another one.
And people are usually cool with that?
Yeah, and it's rare that that happens. The other part of it is, like, this is our menu. It's 16 items on it. If I were to start adding sandwiches and chicken fingers and french fries like a lot of pizza places do, I would be way overwhelmed. And the quality would go way down. If I'm gonna do something, I wanna do it perfectly, do it right, have a small menu.
You're definitely gonna do it better than me. I can already tell by looking at the slice, but I wanna try the hot honey on here. It sounds really good.
Oh, that's a game changer.
Damn, that is good. Here we go. The Mark Truffalo.
Ooh, that one seems
Shit,
good.
dude, this is legit. That ricotta is like just cream.
It's like a really thick cream.
And that's a lot
So
of
that
ricotta,
is made
though.
by a company called Grande, and they do a whole milk ricotta that I've not been able to find anywhere else.
Damn. That crazy amount of mushroom you put on actually works really well because the mushroom's kind of like crisped up. It's almost like you made a pizza before.
It's my second rodeo.
So where do you see it go next, man? I mean, do you think you'll keep it small forever? Is that the goal?
Yeah, my goal when I first started it was to build this brand and build it to a point that people want to buy it. So I'll end up selling it eventually.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next thing.
Aaron definitely has something special here, and after tasting his food and spending the day with him, I think what makes this place operate so well with one person comes down to three things.
Interesting.
Passion for food, incredible systems in place, care for the customer and the community. Like and subscribe for the next one.
So Buddy doesn't like, I mean, he has passion, but I think it's more goal oriented than it is like with heart. More, so it's like a robot type thing. Like he makes good food, but it's only because he wants to sell. It's not because he cares. Or does he? I don't know. Runs his restaurant on his own. It's a side gig to his full-time job. Yeah.
The bread through some cheddar, time to oil it right. I'm near the end, want me get you from the back. Not you, girl, this sandwich hella slap. It's bussin', it's fire. I'm faded, I'm lit, about to put some chips on it, get freaky real quick. Since you ain't on this type of time, I'm slaying. About to go back for round 2, I'm not playing. About to oil that thing down.
I just wanna hold you, baby. I just wanna hold you. I just wanna hold you.
This comes out in a few days.
Hello and welcome back to New World. So there's a brand new hyper-realistic life simulation game called Enjoy that is releasing this year, and I got to play the game.
Yeah, it comes
early.
out, I
Yes.
think, on the
6 months
27th.
ago, I played about 15 hours of the game, but now 6 months later, after a long waiting period, I was able to play Enjoy again, and I'm about 40 hours into this game. So I have a ton of stuff to talk about. They added in new features, they added in new gameplay mechanics, they added in cars, and a lot of things they added in with the karma system as well, and they also fixed some things. So we have a lot to talk about in this video. I'm not gonna waste any of you guys' time. Make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button down below as we have a ton of content releasing for this game. Now, I also want to say thank you to Crafton for being able to let me play this game early and give my full opinion about this game. So I'm not going to give y'all any BS. I'm gonna tell you what I like about the game, what I don't like about the game, and yeah, we got a lot to talk about. I'm not about to waste any of you guys' time. Let's go ahead and hop into the brand new Enzo experience. Now,
Yeah, let's
first
check
things
this
first, let's
out.
talk about performance. Now, I was playing this on an
Curious.
RTX 4090, a Ryzen 9 7950X 3D with 64 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megahertz RAM. So I'm playing this on a really good computer. Now, graphic settings, I ran this at ultra high. I also had DLSS on quality, and I also had frame generation on. I also ran the DLSS 4 override. Shout out to Boring Bones for helping me with the configuration. So the game looks really, really good, and surprisingly, it looks better than it does in native. Now, what I mean by that is when you're playing the game natively with no frame gen or no DLSS on at all, the image is significantly softer than when you run it with DLSS 4 with DLSS on quality. It looks totally different. The image
Wow,
is just
yeah.
a tad bit sharper with DLSS on than it is with it off. Now, when it comes to performance, running this game natively, I was at about 65 to 70 FPS. That is about a 5% increase from when I previously played the game 6 months ago. And now when I'm playing it with DLSS on with frame gen, I'm averaging around 120 FPS. So I get a significantly better and sharper image quality. I get better performance. When it comes to that aspect, it is a win-win for me, especially when this game has so much graphical fidelity. I am now able to play this game over 100 FPS with DLSS on and also not sacrifice image quality at all. All right, so let's move on to Creators. Right now in Creators, there are 6 different ages that you can choose from when you are creating your character. You have child, teenager, young adult, adult, middle age, and senior. Yes, each of these different Zoids do have different time periods that go in between when they each age up. Now, the Creator Zoid is absolutely phenomenal. It looks really, really good. These characters look realistic. Like, they are some of the most realistic characters that I've ever seen in gaming. You can literally create any body that you want. Now, the canvas was not open for us during this playtest period, so I wasn't able to, get some Zoids from the very, very talented creators. So I had to build everybody by myself. It took a lot of time, but it really helped me understand some features, learn about the thing more. So as you're seeing in this gameplay, I'm creating myself. I also created other Zoids around the world that kind of fit the immersion that I wanted, because I wanted to make a really good Enzoi save file that we're going to be able to play if you guys want to tune into that as well. We got different lore, a whole bunch of things that we're going to go talk about in the gameplay section. But in the Creator Zoi, there are tons of new features that we weren't able to get before that I know you guys are going to be extremely excited about. We have new features like piercings. We have facial piercings. We have different nose rings. We have different lip rings. There's also tattoos in the game. They're kind of introducing it a little bit. So we have different neck tattoos. You have face paint that you can put on your Zoi now. There's also new things like custom necklaces. So you can go in and make a custom necklace. For right now, you can change the pendants. You can also change the different necklace type that you want. There's also the implementation of creating watches. You can change the different watch faces, the bands, the color of the watches. There's also the ability to change different shirts. So if you're going into Creator Zoi and you're trying to create a certain shirt that you want and you can't really find the fitting, you can go head over to that custom tab and create a shirt of your liking. Now, they do have things like AI textures as well, so you can go in and type in a texture, but they also have the ability to be able to load in a texture from your picture. So in my Enzoi save file, I have this company called Zogue, and they're basically a fashion company. So I ended up just creating their logo and putting it on the clothes, and it really fleshed out the creativity for me. And it was very easy to do. It didn't take but like 2 seconds. Loaded up Photoshop, typed it in, put it there, made sure I copied the exact swatch number so I knew that the colors wouldn't be too different from the shirt, and boom. It is that easy, and your creativity can go anywhere. I know there's a lot of very creative people that know how to make realistic characters, so being able to do that is insane. Now, they also have different body types. They also fixed the ability to be able to make bigger sizes of certain parts of the body. They increased the scaling a lot more than they did last time, which is cool. You're also able to make plus size Zoids as well. They also implemented a feature where you can be female, male, or non-binary. So they have a lot of different features in the Creator Zoi that weren't here before. They also added a couple of different hairstyles, and I'm going to be honest, they did say that they added some black hairstyles in. I only seen about 2 different hairstyles. I don't know if this was different between the playtest version and the early access version, because we kind of got 2 different things. But if these are the black hairstyles that they are talking about, I mean, they look good, but they also don't look great, and I also want more. So that was something that we addressed inside of our chats, that we really do need some more hairstyles. Like, these look good, but this isn't, like, come on, this isn't what we wanted. But I'm going to give them, a little bit more time. It is an early access, so this is the playtest build, so I'm not going to do too much, but just let them know we need more hairstyles. this is cool. This is not what we asked for. But like I said, they gave me the ability to be able to be honest with y'all. So I'm trying to be as honest as I can. Now, a really cool feature in Creator Zoid is the implementation of live link. Yes, you can use your phone to be able to talk and make different emotes with your face. So as you're talking, it syncs with your face, and they also added in neck movement. So now it's not as stiff anymore. You can move your neck around, you can talk, and yeah, it is a really, really cool feature that you're able to do. Now, one of the coolest features that I have seen, and it's going to be extremely innovative, and I know modders and a lot of people that make machinimas are going to love this. They've added in a AI emote feature. So what this means is you can take a pose from either yourself or online, and you put that pose into the AI generator, and it will try to generate the pose. Now, it's not perfect. It is in development right now. Hands aren't really synced up as well, so their hands are going to look like this. So when you're trying to create, it's going to look like this. But I really like this implementation of this feature. This is really, really cool, and it does need a little bit of work, but I know modders are going to love this. I know machinima makers are going to love this. This really enhances the ability to be able to create any type of Zoid you want, any type of storyline you want, any type of thing you want. And also, yes, as you can see in this, you're also able to kind of tweak different lighting. So if you want it to be moody, you want to change the background colors, you can do that as well to make the perfect Zoid that you want in this game. All right, so now let's head over to gameplay and what gameplay features has Nzoid added, and they added a ton of gameplay features. Now I'm going to go over as much as I can because there's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I probably missed out on. To start off, I'm going to say that gameplay feels completely different than The Sims 4. When you walk into the game, you have WASD movement. There's also cars around in this game, so you can buy and purchase your own custom cars. They also have Hyundai cars, and these cars look really good. It goes to show the model texture and the quality that can be implemented into this game. So like I said, I'm very keen on modders. Modders should be very excited about this because us being able to add in more cars, and hopefully in the future we get more additions of realistic cars in the game, is really, really good. But when you sit there and you control your Zoid in this game, you press the home tab, you put the walls up, you feel like you're inside of the game. This is a very immersive experience. It looks really, really good graphically. This game is gorgeous. This is a beautiful, beautiful looking game.
Man,
there are some bugs. I'm going to talk about that later.
I get one of these like
video.
daily.
But as of right now, from the graphical side and how beautiful this game is, it is insane. They enhanced the lighting from the last time. That I played. So now the sun hits perfectly. They also kind of enhance and add in a little bit more stuff in the world. So like the cafe looks different. There's like graffiti on the walls. There's the implementation of being able to add signs and things like that inside of the game. Yes, you can control signs, weather, all of this. And what I did was, when I told you about the Zoids that
Unconscious
I made,
Knocker,
model sims,
it's actually not a bad name,
them on the billboard. So as I'm walking around in the game, I see different billboards of the Zoids that I created in this save file, and it looks and it feels so realistic. And I was able to do that where when you hop into the game, when you hop into the gameplay experience, it is up to you to create what you want to create in this game. So if you want to create models and you want models to be on a billboard, you can do that without having to add mods. If you want to live a extremely rich life, you can. If you want to live an extremely poor life, you can. The gameplay feels very, very good. And we're going to go a little bit more deeper into the gameplay. So let's go ahead and hop into relationships. So like in the previous video that I made about Nzoid, there are 3 different tiers. You have the business tier, the romance tier, and the friendship tier. Now, the business tier is relatively the same. You talk to Zoids a little bit more. The more that you progress and the more that you talk, you unlock different social abilities to be able to say something different, or have different animations and things like that. Let's talk about the romance tier. Now, Nzoid did say that they wanted Zoids to be just a little bit more intimate and a little bit more affectionate. Now, they have new romance features. Of course, you can now kiss your Zoids, you can do heartfelt hugs, you can give gifts, you can plan dates. Now you can do things like date features and scheduling. You can now schedule different events for your Zoi. So if you want a Zoi, you want to have a whole bunch of people meet up at the lounge, you can go to each different Zoi around the world, set their schedule, and be able to go there together. Now, it does require a little bit of work. I really hope it's a little bit easier to do, but as of right now in the playtest version, if you want to have all your Zois kind of meet up in one spot, you can now set different schedules for those
They give you a
Zois.
lot.
But going back into romance, now the romance factor is pretty decent as far
mean,
as
I
what
ate
you
a
can
lot.
do, things you can say. I really love when you are able to talk to these Zois. It doesn't feel like The Sims at all. It has a different vibe to it. They play off really well, like different things that you can say with different Zois. I like it. It feels like the conversation topics are just a little bit more modernized and more realistic than gameplay wise. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it just has a different feel to it. I don't know if I'm doing that correctly, but it does have a different feel to it. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy about the showers and also the animation feature when it comes to getting a little bit more intimate with the Zoi that you met. And I'm gonna be honest, the new animation that they replaced from the animation to this like new heart sparking feature, I like the animation, but I don't think people are gonna like it at all. It really does fill up your screen, and you can kind of see like the Zoi's eyes. They're like black, so you can tell they're just laying in the bed. I don't know what that's about. But as far as the romance feature is concerned, they added in a little bit more intimacy in the game. You can you know, peck and give hugs and things like that. But as far as going beyond that and going into a more intimate setting, it is very, very T-rated. I would say it's very T-rated. So I don't know how people are gonna feel about that. I know that might be a little bit controversial, but based off what we got, I like the animation, but I don't know. Maybe they could do something about that because it is in early access. So we gotta let our opinions be heard and say, look, we might want something different than that one. Another really cool thing about your Zois is now the Zois have preferences. So there are different preferences in the game that you can set what Zois like. It's very easy to do. It's like very simultaneous. You click it, menu pops up, select it on and off. You don't have to go through a whole entire loading screen to set it. Like, it's very easy, simple, to the point. Your Zoi likes this and that. And when you choose the traits that you make in Create a Zoi, it does kind of flesh it out for you already. So you don't have to do too much, and it's not too random. It just makes sense. It fits for your Zoi. Now, inside the game, you are playing and you are talking. You do have skills and things like cooking and music producing skills. And in this video, I'm showing you guys one of the features that I like a lot about the skills, and I made a Zoi that really enjoyed music. As you can see, I kind of customized his room, gave him like he likes real rap, so he likes the Kendrick Lamars, the Tupacs, like he likes that kind of rap. There's an ability to make beats, like you can make beats and kind of fill that skill up, and the more skills that you have, the more beats that you can make. So I was having him go in, having his sister come in the room, like listen to his music, catch a vibe with him, talk about music, and it was a very, very fun and cool experience that the more that you play with these Zois, things unlock. One thing that I can say with the cooking skill, the higher your cooking skill, the more full your Zoi does become. So if a very high cooking skill and you are eating food, the bar is gonna fill up to almost max. But if a Zoi and they don't know how to cook, you're gonna be hungry again in a couple hours. It's only so many noodles that you can eat until you're like, yo, I need some real food. So that's a really cool experience when it comes to Enzoi.
That makes
about
sense.
just the skill system. Now, going beyond skills and abilities, there is a karma system, and the karma system in this game is really, really good. Now, when you are inside of the game, you can be a good Zoi. It tracks like all of the Zoi's different karmas and things like that, so you can see it. But with different karma comes different ways that people interact with you in this world. So if you are a good Zoi, you receive gifts. A lot of people open up to you more. Your friendship bar goes by a little bit faster. Like, it plays off very, very well when it comes to being a good Zoi. But let's talk about the bad ones, right? I made a Zoi called Mr. Greg Gregginson, and he is an old guy. He stays in like a very rundown apartment, very old, very just like you could tell he wake up and he just want to be annoying. I gave him a green old guy car, and I just wanted to be a terrible person. So for 40 minutes straight, I was just going around being a terrible Zoi. I was extorting people for money. I was dropping trash on the floor. I was farting in public places. I was causing arguments at restaurants and on the side of the street. I was punching officers in the face. Now, it took a lot for my Zoi to be able to go to prison. And yes, I said go to prison. I was at a stop sign and somebody decided to say something to me because my karma is bad, and he just wanted to yell at me like, what are you yelling at me for? So I punched him in the face, and then I extorted him for money. And I thought it was nothing. I was like, man, I wonder when the cops are gonna come. there was about 4 cops that ran up on me on screen, and I was like, yo, no way this is happening. I thought the police system was broken. No, it's not. And I got put into prison, and I don't know how long. It didn't tell me how long I was going to stay in there, but I was playing the game for about an hour. I was still in jail, so I don't know how long he got arrested for. I don't know what what case they built up with me, but there is a police system, and it's not perfect. I do wish I got arrested as soon as I punched a cop in the face, but that's not what happened. But these are the gameplay things that I was able to experience in Enzoy that have really made me like, yo, this is a they cooked. I'm not gonna lie. They did a very, very good job. Of course, when it comes to gameplay, can your Zoid go to work? They can drive. They can go to prison. They can do X, Y, and Z, but can your Zoid go to work? Yes. Your Zoid can actually have a job and they can go to those jobs. Now, they also added in a couple of rabbit hole jobs that I think they're trying to flesh out behind the scenes to make those jobs actually enterable. Like you have law firms, you have sports jobs, you have the regular, business jobs as well. Now, the jobs that you can go into, there are a lot of jobs that you can go into, but you can work in the furniture store, you can work at the restaurant, you can work on the beach. So there's a lot of things that you can do in the game from a job experience, and you can actually go to those places. All right, now speaking of gameplay, let's talk about one of the most hyped up features about Enzoy, and that is Smart Zoid. Now, what Smart Zoid is it's basically an AI feature that gives your Zoid the ability to think and have thoughts, and you can see what they're talking about. And it is a very, very cool feature that I think really does add and enhance the gameplay experience. So when you're going around and you're just playing the game, you can switch it on to off. It's very simple. You go into settings, you can turn it off for everybody, or you can just simply turn it on, and then you're also able to, if you really want to turn it on, you can just hit the swatch at the bottom right hand side of your UI, and it is very simple, seamless, to the point. It adds in that extra layer of immersion for you, so you're able to really just see what your Zoid is thinking, what they're talking about. Perfect example, I'm using my music Zoid once again. What I did was I just typed in, he enjoys music, right? And he wants to talk about music with his family, or he just wants to record and make music. And he goes around and he talks to his mom about, K-pop industry and talk about songs, and he just goes around the house and talks to his parents and like everybody around the world about what he's passionate about. And he says, oh, I really like this feedback, I'm gonna go in and I gotta make something creative, I gotta do it. But one thing about Smart Zoid, it is very much in early access, so a lot of the things start to get a little bit repetitive when it comes to the thoughts. It's like, yeah, I like this, I gotta channel this into something, I gotta channel this into something, I gotta channel this into something. And then when they say that, the only thing that I have to say about it is my Zoid is a music Zoid, and he talks about music, but he doesn't make it on his own. I have to go in and I have to click the piano or click the computer to compose those beats and things like that. So when you enable it, just know that you're enabling it, and you can't just sit back and they'll just do a whole bunch of things that pertain to the task, but they will talk about it. And that in and of itself is very innovative. It does need work. They were telling us like, look, make sure that you give us enough feedback about this feature, because we need to know what needs to be improved. Now also, when you do enable Smart Zoid and you go around the world, everybody has thoughts, everybody does a whole bunch of stuff. You have lost Zoids that's looking around, they don't know what's really going on, and you gotta people like help them out, and there's people that argue and just talk, and you can just see each and every single thought of those Zoids. And if you really want to have that super immersive experience, then you can get that as well. It's a really cool added feature. It's not perfect, it does need work, but based off of what I played and based off of what I've seen and what I've experienced with Smart Zoid, I think that is a step in the right direction if you want super hyper realism to the point where like those characters have their own thoughts. It's a very much in the early stages. I really can't wait to see what it looks like in the future and what it can be, because based off of what I've seen, I like it, it's cool, but it needs a lot of work. And that is something that I don't want to just say this is perfect. It's no, but it is a amazing feature that adds into a very just new feeling, very realistic feeling to this game that really enhance the real life experience. All right, so next let's discuss build mode. Now build mode, I am not as experienced at build mode at all. I am not a builder. I tried my absolute hardest to try to become a builder in this game, and just like how I am in The Sims, I am terrible. So don't look at me too much for build mode, but I'm going to talk about a couple features. I'm just going to show you guys, just looking around some of this footage, what you can potentially build in this game. Now build mode is very, very, very cool. It is just as customizable as Creator Zoid. So there are a lot of things that you can customize. You can customize different layers of each object that you have. So when you have a couch, you can customize the legs of the couch, you can customize the base of the couch, the pillow, same thing with the bed. Like flowers, you can actually customize the color of the base and also the flower as well. There's a lot of things you can do. You can also add in custom paintings and things like that in your game. Now, like I said, there is an AI feature. I rarely use the AI feature. I use more of the load texture feature where I'm actually just able to go in and download something from Google that I like. So as you can see in my home, I got my picture of my cats on the wall. I kind of got one of my favorite albums of all time. Just have my Zoe get really cool with the people at Zog and have them like model for them and stuff. So I kind of have that as well. So things like this that are able to be added into the game are just amazing. There's a lot of stuff you can do, a lot of stuff you can add. There's also an AI feature where you're able to take a picture of an object in your home and put it inside of your game. So I scanned my Aemon Targaryen Funko Pop. I took a picture of it and I was like, okay, let me see what this looked like. And it looked okay when I scanned it, but then when I saw it in person, I'm like, hold on. In game, it looked pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The things that you're able to create and the things that you're able to do in build mode is insane. Like the build mode is so customizable. It's a lot of stuff to do. The canvas was not open for me. So I'm so upset that I was not able to get those really, really cool buildings and structures that a lot of people that are very, very talented in making. But there are different presets when you go into the game. So if you load into an empty lot, there are different preset homes that you can choose from that look really good. I know all of them aren't there from the last playtest. Some of them look different. Like I said, this is the playtest build, so I'm not gonna say too much about the things that aren't in there because I want to see what comes in early access, and that's when we can really talk about the game and really talk about, okay, what is this? What's added? What's new? When the canvas opens up, I know that's gonna be a completely different experience, mainly because the canvas is where I'm able to see things from other people that might be more creative than I am. But let's go into the things that I did not like in Enzoy. The bugs. Oh my goodness, were there bugs in this playtest? And I'm gonna talk about each and every one of them in this video. Let's just say, before I get into this, Crafton, I appreciate you for me being able to be honest about these bugs. All right, so when it comes to bugs, I have a whole list of bugs right on the right side of my screen. I'm gonna read these off to you guys. There is one bug that stands out among a lot of them, and one of the biggest bugs that I encountered was when you create your Zoe in game, and this was something that they said they were going to work on as soon as I sent it. So I mean, this was probably an issue or probably something that they talked about internally, but there's an issue where once you create your Zoe and you put them in the game, some features do not appear like they do in the game. So I know it's a bug because the person that's in the same household looks how they look inside of Creator Zoe. So
It's not. I guess the chain around the neck. I don't know. There's really not much. I guess a lack of shadowing and detail. Other than that, they did okay.
so it is very interesting to see that like certain Zoids look how they look in Kaz, and then when you get out of Kaz, they don't look the same. It is a very hit or miss sometimes with that, and I really do hope they get that improved and fixed. Like I said, this is the playtest build, it's not the early access build, so I hope these things are added. That was a huge one for me because that Zoe did not look how they looked, and I really wanted to get an outside shot of the Zoe, but the features just did not make any sense. But for the male Zoe, he looked exactly how he looks inside of Kaz, and I can say that about a lot of the other Zoes in the game. It's just that one in particular, that one just didn't look right. I don't know what is going on. But gameplay, one of the things in this game that I noticed almost immediately is the fact that I am not able to see surrounding cars when I hop inside of my car. So I would get inside of the car, and as soon as I press the W key, all the cars disappear. It's like no cars there. Previously in the playtest, I got in the car, I was stuck in traffic. Now the traffic just goes. Now I don't know if they did this for optimization purposes, so a lot of people can play it and not have to, you know, sacrifice so much performance, but it is a very huge bug because it's like, what is going on here? Why am I getting in the car and there's no cars around? What happened? Another thing, speaking of things disappearing, the draw distance in the game is not that great. Now the draw distance, I have a 4090. I'm running this game maxed out. The draw distance is one of the things that shine the most because I'm able to see something that's very, very far away and its highest fidelity. That's the whole point of me having a 4090 is to play 4K maxed out, seeing things from far away, super sharp, look great. But as I'm panning the camera, and I addressed this, I think the first day that I got it, automatically you can tell there's pop-in issues, There's certain meshes and buildings that aren't like fully there. I recommended them, instead of, you know, making it and sacrificing it for everybody, I say do like an HD texture pack, like I believe Kingdom Come Deliverance did, where the people that have those specs can download this, you know, added texture pack through Steam. You'll be able to have a little bit more fidelity with your game. That way people that have the normal relative affordable specs and the people that have the super beefed up high-end specs can, you know, have a very good experience in their own way, instead of it all having it be kind of conjoined into one another. Daytime lighting is beautiful. It is absolutely amazing. The daytime lighting in this game looks really, really good. But when you go home and it's the nighttime, the image breaks apart a lot. It is a very, very, very flat image at night. And the reason why I believe so is in the game, the lighting of the game, because they have, you know, different positions and you can level the floors and things like that. I think the ray tracing kind of takes the data from around the world and does the lighting, right? So if you pan down and the roof is cut off at the top, then you get to see like how the game and how the room looks throughout the perspective of your Zoe, and then you can look at how the game looks through the perspective of, you know, you and you playing it. But lighting does bleed through other rooms, so you can have a lamp in this room and then you can have another lamp in this room, and you put the walls up, so you got two different lamps here. But this lamp would bleed through the wall, not through the door, but through the wall, and it'll be there. And I'm like, we need to fix that. We can't have that. We can't, because it'll make rooms very bright, like super duper bright. And I don't know if that is something, because daytime lighting is like insane, as y'all can see. It's just that nighttime lighting, man, where my Zoys don't look good at all. I mean, even turning off the lights and trying to get the lighting right the best way that I can isn't perfect. And I do hope that they look at that, because we need to keep all the fidelity. We need to make sure that when we're going from room to room, the lighting looks well in day and at night, because this is a realistic, very high quality, ray traced used game, and I want it to look great so it doesn't feel like people can only enjoy the game in its highest fidelity in the daytime. So that is something that graphically I do really want to get changed. There's a lot of shadows that flicker and things like that, and one thing that I remember is with Cyberpunk 2077, this was an issue before construction was introduced. So I mentioned maybe adding construction that might fix the problem. Let's talk about gameplay
I'm nodding
a little
off.
bit more. And
I need to get some sleep,
they
I think.
will wash dishes in the bathroom. I know. That is a meme waiting to happen.
I'm just gonna jump off quick.
Yeah, we want better AI with Enzo, and we don't want people washing dishes
Wake
in the
up
bathroom. Well, they do
and jump back on.
Another gameplay issue is,
but for now, like I'm falling asleep.
They wanted to add in multitasking.
As much as I'm watching the video and paying attention and shit, like I still not know.
You know, like just do a lot of things at once, differently than you were able to do in the first playtest that I was able to play. But now, for some reason, Zoys will do nothing but sit down and talk. So you will be right in front of somebody, you want to talk to them, and they'll just go into an entirely different room, and then you'll sit down and talk. Especially at the furniture store, employee at the furniture store, so not sit down on the furniture that they're selling and have a conversation. I've never seen that. I've been to IKEA a lot of times. Not one time have I ever seen any of the IKEA employees sit down at the display table and have a conversation. I've never seen that. I've only seen that with customers. Customers maybe can do it, employees no. But like, that is something that I will catch y'all in a little bit. Didn't make any sense at all. Those are some of the things. Like I said, this game is coming out in early